everybody. Welcome back to Stamping with Friends with Pip Todman from the UK and myself. Once you get done with my video, you're going to want to pop right over to her video and her blog post and check out her cards. So our theme today is graduation cards, and I have to tell you, this is a hard one for me. So I only made one card, but I really love the way it turned out. So I'm using all brand new product from the annual catalog. I'm going to use this pool party cardstock and then this beautiful blue paper. My daughter is in high school, and it's the high school that I went to as well, and our school colors are blue. It is actually this very blue, this dark blue. And so I thought that was kind of fun. I don't know, maybe I'll save this card for her when she graduates. That's a few years off still, but I just am not great at these kinds of cards. So it's really beautiful. This embossing folder matches the design on the designer paper, which I always love when Stampin' Up! Does that. If they have stamps that match or an embossing folder that matches, it's really beautiful. So I'm going to pick a couple designs here to use, and then I'm using Pool Party cardstock. I'm also using an old die set. It is the Stitched Star die set, and then I'm using a newer die set, which is the alphabet dies. And I really love those dies. They're really, really beautiful. And then the star dies are just ones that I've had for a long time. You know me, I always keep my stitched shapes, like my hearts, my regular shapes, stars, anything like that. I'm going to keep in my collection and get a lot of use out of. So I've already cut the stars, and then I've already cut the letters, and the letters just say congrats. And that is what was going to fit on this card. And originally I was going to do this type of card where it's this way. What is this called? The terminology is escaping me. But what I find out is my letters will fit better and look better if I do it the other way. So it's like a horizontal. I guess this would be like a vertical card. And I'm going to end up doing it horizontal. I'm going to grab my bone folder and just give that a really good crease. And then I'm going to start to put these items together in just a second. So I'm going to grab some white cardstock. This is just basic white. I want to cut this to go inside the card. One of the things that you can do to really elevate your cards is add this white or a color. You could even add colored if you want. I tend to add white because that's what I want to write my message on. I also love that our basic white cardstock, it is 80 pound, the regular basic white, and it has a really nice finish on it for stamping. That's why you get a better impression or a better look when you are using the basic white paper to stamp on, because it has a finish that is meant for stamping. It also writes beautifully. So I love the way my handwriting looks on that white cardstock. It just glides so nicely. So here is the embossed piece, and I already embossed it. That is a 1/4 inch smaller than my card front, so it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. I pulled out my blending brushes, and I'm going to use the small one. I really love the small blending brushes. They are the perfect size in my opinion. I prefer the smaller one and actually don't use the bigger one or like the bigger one now that we have the smaller ones. These are the 3 white inks I have. I have the Lawn Fawn white ink, I have the Simon Says white ink, and then I have this one, the Hero, I think it's the Hero Arts white. This one is actually my favorite. So I am going to use this white to just add a little bit of white to this design. I was going to do it all over the card, and then when I did it on the edges, I thought it looked really pretty and would help that stand out on the card. So I'm actually just going to go all around the edges. I also like how sturdy these blending brushes are. I'm not somebody who loves to blend. It's not my favorite thing to do. So I don't spend a lot of time doing it, and I've never used other company blending brushes. So I don't know how they stand up against the Stampin' Up! Ones. When I got the Stampin' Up! Ones, I felt like they were flimsy at first. I was like, oh my, like this really, it like, I don't know, it just felt like it was gonna break. I'm very hard on these and they don't break. They are very sturdy, and I have a handful of them in the big size and in the small size. I think altogether I got 4 sets of each, and I just, if I use orange ink, then I just have like one for orange ink, one for red ink, one for purple ink. I don't have one for every individual color I have. You can also clean these off and let them dry if you want. I don't really bother. They're fine. They work fine the way they are. So I'm going to attach this to the front of my card, and then I have this piece of designer paper. And here is where I realize the first thing is my designer paper is slightly big. So then I think, well, I'm going to do it the other way. And then I'm like, well, that's not going to work because my paper. So I start kind of messing around with it. That's why I never attach anything right away. I always lay things out. So I took a little bit off that designer piece. It is now 2 inches by 5.5. So then I thought, well, I'll just do it sideways. Like the letters will go up the card, which will be fine. And then I'm like, no, maybe I need to do it this other direction. But I realized my designer paper, like the embossing folder is fine. That design is fine that way. But the designer paper is not. It has those birds on it. And that is not going to work. So we're going to grab that same designer paper. And we're going to just cut a new piece so that the designs go the right direction. Because otherwise that's just going to drive me bonkers. So I am trimming that off camera. I'm sorry about that. I just trimmed it 2 inches by 5.5 inches. Now the pattern is in the right direction. We're going to do this as a horizontal card, and it's going to have a lot going on with this card. It's going to have stars on it. It's going to have birds. It's going to have flowers. It's going to have some letters, and we're even going to add some plaid ribbon to this, and it's going to look beautiful. Like, I was getting a little nervous as to like how this was going to turn out. And as I continued to build the card, it ended up working out beautifully. So this is brand new paper from the annual catalog. So if you have not purchased yet, you're going to want to pick this up. I will have all of the supplies linked on my blog post. When I filmed this, I did not have access to all of the links because the catalog had not gone live yet. I had to film a little bit early because Pip had plans and needed all of my stuff earlier than normal. So I didn't have links, but you will be able to check out all the links on my coordinating blog post. I will have photos for you along with the links. So I think I'm going to add ribbon, I'm going to add foam here to this piece. And I'm going to show you the reason I decided to add ribbon in just a minute to this card is because I want to be able to have the option to add a gift card in this, and the ribbon is going to hold it in place. So I'm just adding foam to the back of this embossed piece, and in just a moment, I'll be able to attach that to the card. The foam is going to lift that piece up, so it gives it just a little bit of dimension. And that really creates, it also creates a little bit of sturdiness on your card, but it just creates a little bit of a shadow and a little bit of some dimension onto that card, and it is beautiful. And that embossing folder is so pretty. I love it. So then this piece, I'm going to go ahead and do flat because I am going to pop the stars up. So you want to be careful when you're popping up items on your card because it does make it harder to go through the mail and it can cost more. So I didn't want to pop this next layer up knowing I would have the stars on there. I'm going to use my grid mat, which is totally crooked on the screen. I apologize for that. I should have straightened that when I was filming, but I just did not realize. I'm going to hold that down for just a second because it's an embossed piece of cardstock. I want to make sure that all of those, like that entire piece is going to be attached to the, I want to make sure that both of those pieces are attached is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm so sorry. And then I am using this jewel picker. I actually got this. I think I got it on scrapbook.com or maybe Simon Says. I really love it. The pointed piece is a little bit sticky, so you can pick these little tiny pieces up. It works great for these really thin letters. I was just trying to get a placement of where they needed to go, that I wasn't adding adhesive to them yet. When I add the adhesive, I will use my tweezers to do that and place them, but to get an idea of where everything needed to be. See, if I would have been gluing this, I would have been right out of luck because I ran out of space. So it's always a good idea. And I wanted to leave this in here. I know it's really kind of boring to watch me do this, but I wanted to show you in real time how these cards come to be. I mean, sometimes we see these videos and they're, you know, lickety split, and you see somebody do a card in 5 minutes and you think, oh, wow, it's that easy. But this is what goes into this behind the scenes, and this is in real time. I didn't speed any of this up, so it took me exactly the 15 minutes or so to make this video is how long it took me to make the card. So I will add those stars, but again, I wanted to add ribbon to this because I want to be able to add a gift card in it, and so I'm going to wait to add those stars. I've glued my congrats on there, and then I pull out this ribbon that I already had in my stash. And again, I'm going to leave this part in here where I fuss with this ribbon quite a bit, but I'm just going to wrap it on the inside of the card, and then I'm going to actually tie the bow on the outside. And you want to leave yourself quite a bit of ribbon. I should have left myself a little bit more. That's why I had some problems with this that you're going to see, is I needed a little bit more ribbon to work with. You're going to pull that really tight. So as tight as you can without harming your cardstock. Even if your cardstock bows a little bit when you are tying this bow, that is going to be fine. You want it tight because when you get the loops through, it will loosen it up a little bit. So if it's really loose already, then once those bows go through and you release the tied part, it's going to loosen up even more. So you can see one of my loops did not, like, it came undone. And that was simply because I just did not have enough to work through. You can see, like, I'm really kind of struggling, and I realize I should have left a little bit more ribbon. But I'm just going to tie that really, I'm going to pull that really tight, and you can see, like, I have to do it again. So it's okay. Like, when we're adding ribbon to our cards or this kind of stuff, you just have to be willing to fuss with it. And you get better. You get better every single time you tie a bow. You're going to get better. You're going to get a feel for it. Like, I knew immediately when I started tying this bow, I did not have enough ribbon, and it was like just barely not enough. So I wanted to try to make it work. Once I get the loops through and I'm tightening that, you can see that the loops are very, like, messy. The ribbon is folded on itself. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to straighten those loops out. It's not perfect, but it will make a big difference when you take that extra time to straighten these items out. Whether it is an embellishment that you are, getting in the right place, or making sure you're using the right amount of glue, or it's a bow that you're fixing the loops to, it really makes a difference. So now when you open it, the ribbon is inside of that card, and you can stick a gift card right in there and it will stay. Like, it'll stay in place because the ribbon will hold it in place. So now to hold the ribbon on place on the outside, I'm going to add a couple dimensional adhesive pieces to these stars, and I'm going to put it right over the ribbon. I promise it will hold. Just make sure that the dimensional is on the ribbon and on the paper at the same time. And then you can place those right on there. The dimensionals are not super thick, which is really nice. So it gives you a little bit of dimension, but not a lot. So I'm going to take these off, and then I'm going to place them on the card. And then on the little tiny one, you will see that I press the dimensional kind of in on itself. You can barely see it poking out. See how it is barely poking out? So all I did was I went around and I just pressed it into itself, and that was enough to conceal it on the card. And you can take a bone folder or your tweezers and press that in after you press it onto the paper and press it up underneath, and that will disguise it as well. So just like in last month's card when we did this, I am going ahead and I am melting the end of the ribbon. You can see that I clipped off those strings so that they wouldn't catch on fire as I melted the very end of it, but I'm just melting the end of that, and then that is going to be perfect. You can also stick a glue dot right underneath your bow and it will hold it in place as well. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this card, and there are 2 other videos here on the screen if you would like to check them out. If you're brand new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Make sure you pop over to Pip's video and see what she made. I'm excited to see what she made because, again, these are harder cards for me to make, so I am looking forward to the inspiration. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you later.